So you want to be a better hunter, huh? Well, that means you want to carry, and you probably want to go pew-pew all game, which is admittedly pretty fun. Now, although I don't support spearing other human beings or shooting arrows into anybody's face, that's kind of a big social faux pas where I come from, I am going to show you how to become a better hunter in Smite. I mean, are you telling me you're gonna make me a better hunter, kid? I mean, if that's what you're saying, I'm gonna freaking love you. Exactly. So sit back, relax, and enjoy my top 5 ways on how to be a better hunter in Smite. That way, when you next step out onto the battleground, you can be ready to kick some digital booty. Sound like a fair shake to you? Yeah, it's a fair shake, kid, but if you shake it more than 3 times, you're playing with it. Ah! My cousin told me that one. That's my joke. Don't use that. So without further ado, let's get started on how to be a better hunter in Smite. The number 1 way being to learn the hunter's mentality. Now, you always know that I start these videos off with learning the class mentality, as I find it's extremely important for the subtle things. Being a hunter is not necessarily about putting out huge bursts of damage like mages or other types of characters. Being a hunter is actually about putting out consistent damage. It'll actually be one of the rules we talk about, but being a hunter doesn't necessarily mean going in and 100 to 0ing somebody in a typical average team fight where everyone's the same level. Now, the reason I mention this, and this is total speculation, I have no facts on this, but I'm thinking that people coming into the hunter role are also playing other carry roles in Smite, like a mage or an assassin. And mages and assassins have a different type of burst and damage output. Pretty much their damage is a little bit more 100 to 0 combo heavy, whereas hunters, yes, they can do quite a bit of damage in the late game because their basic attacks hit so hard, but in the early to mid game, it's a little bit more consistent damage rather than this huge burst, and it requires a different playstyle. A hunter's consistent damage is actually one of its best strengths because it can take down objectives very, very well. Gold Furies and Towers are obviously known for being best soloed by a hunter because of that consistent yet high yield damage towards the end of the game. And one of the beauties about being a hunter is that you're always dangerous. Even when your abilities are on cooldown, you may not be able to escape, but you could definitely still kill things, whereas a mage may not be in the same scenario. But to truly understand the mentality of a hunter in Smite, you need to understand the transition the hunter goes through from the early to mid game and from the mid to late game, and how that affects their character and their damage output. Think of it like this. In the beginning of the game, you're like Chinese water torture. You're a drop of water slowly and constantly dripping onto the opponent's face, and finally driving them insane if you can hit all of your shots and eventually get the kill. But later on in the game, you become this megaton nuke. You become an absolute face wrecker, and if you hit a mage with any of your crits 3 times, they're dunski. So know this mentality and understand that you are a growing problem the longer they don't deal with you. And the more items you get and the more experience you have, the more dangerous you will be. And in the same respect, don't have too much hubris. Knowing how big you can get doesn't mean you are big now. So make sure you play patient in the early games. You can get yourself to that late game status, and again, kick some more digital booty. I don't know why I'm saying that phrase a lot, but I'm starting to feel it catch on. It's catching on, right? So on to the number 2 way on how to be a better hunter in Smite, and that is to stop holding down the left mouse button. Now, I do this too, and I think every person playing a hunter at some point in their life has just held down the left mouse button when trying to shoot a target and seen that target wiggle around and get away from them. We've all had it happen. There's literally nothing more frustrating than watching those low health targets get away, especially when you had a chance to shoot them maybe 6 or 7 times. But it happens, and here's why. So one reason is rhythm. Sometimes somebody just jukes you out the right time for the first moment, and then because you're holding down left mouse button, their jukes continue to work because you just keep rotating and adjusting based on where they're juking, and it's always a little bit too late. However, the other aspect of this that people realize in terms of they feel it, but they don't necessarily put words to it as to why they didn't kill their target, is because their movement speed has been halved. And by half, I mean that's 50% of your movement speed down the drain when you are ranged basic attacking. So that target is essentially moving 50% faster than you and juking you consistently because you're off rhythm. There's no wonder why holding left mouse button means that you're not getting the kill. So what do you do instead? Slow down. Just stop even. All you have to do is make sure you get yourself back into rhythm. There's 2 benefits of this. 1, you can move at full speed, so you'll be able to stay nearer your target. And 2, they'll start juking and their pattern will become obvious. If you only need 2 basic attacks, you don't have to rush it. You don't have to get 1,000. You just need 2. So it's fine to wait. Play the patient game, understand exactly where they're going to move, and time your shots a little bit more appropriately. The point is, instead of shooting 8 times and missing 6 or 7, shoot 5 times, and hit 3 or 4. This will help you to become a better player and do more damage overall, and that damage will show a bigger and bigger impact. Maybe that 3rd and 4th shot put that player into a position where your teammates feel comfortable diving them under tower, and it allows you to get first blood, or at the very least you've taken off another 100 to 150 of their health early game, and that player has to go back to base or use a potion. Remember, sometimes you don't need to win the war right away, you just need to win the battle, and putting someone in a bad position, making sure they have 100 less health than you, have to use that extra pot when you still have yours just because you've hit a couple of basic attacks can mean all the difference. Alright, on to the number 3 way of how to be a better hunter in Smite, and that is to understand the hunter items. Oh god, I know this is tough. Now, as much as I would love to go through every stat of every hunter item right now, we can't do that in this video, but what we can do is give you all some basic tips on how to build hunters and to understand which items you might want to be picking at which times in the game. So here's a tip: when you're first starting off in your games, you want to pick up something that's a little bit more value oriented, kind of like that family for the first time buying a home. You want to pick something that's nice, got a lawn, but it ain't a penthouse in Manhattan, it's not a mansion, you're not taking over 50 cents lease. It's bang for your buck, it's value, it allows you to have a place to sleep and live, and you can do what you need to do. That's exactly what these builds are about. So early game items like Aussie or Ichaival in today's meta are very good to allow you to get some lifesteal, some penetration, some attack speed, make you relevant, and when you're late game and hitting crits for 800 damage, that 15% lifesteal is gonna be paying off a lot more. Now come mid game, you'll have an idea of who's ahead, if it's even, and what the enemy team is doing to counter your effectiveness, or if they're doing anything at all. That may mean you see a lot of physical protection going out on their side, and you're gonna pick up some extra penetration, maybe some you wouldn't have purchased. And if they're not countering you at all, maybe you skip penetration altogether, and maybe you just go for some extra attack speed. Maybe you go for some crit chance right away. Who knows? But these are decisions you have to make on the fly, and these are things you have to have a mentality about learning and deciphering if you want to be a better hunter player in Smite. Now, on to the number 4 way of how to be a better hunter in Smite, and that is to understand and know how to use your hunter's trump card. Now, the best way to describe a trump card is to understand it as a valuable resource that can be used almost in a surprise to gain an advantage. And in many ways, you may call this their combo of sorts, but it is really just how that character can basically turn the tide of a battle or a 1v1 engagement. Imagine strolling through a park, everything's going well and dandy, you've got your girl by your side, and all of a sudden a giant lion throws a spear into your heart, pinning you against a tree, and proceeds to throw 3 more spears until you are dead. That's a trump card, baby. And the truth is, it's a wonderful feeling to use it. When you have a situation where someone is being surprised by the amount of damage you can do, that's when you know you're playing this correctly. Because you're basically allowing them to put themselves in a bad scenario, making sure that they don't try to retreat before you're ready to kill them. This is a huge tactic that if you can actually learn to manipulate and maneuver successfully, you will be able to guarantee yourself so many first bloods, so many kills, because people will feel safe around you until all of a sudden it's too late and they've got nowhere to go. I mean, at 5% health, you running for your life, you know you're about to die, but at 25%, maybe 35%, are you feeling a little safer? Well, if you could still 100 to 0 somebody or 35 to 0 somebody, then that's important, and you need to know that depending on your build and what that other character is building. If you're able to pull your trump card out in those scenarios and get those kills when they're thinking they're safe, you're going to be a great hunter and a great asset for your team in Smite. Now, we've only got one more rule before it's time to say goodbye, not only for this video, but for the series as well. Closing the chapter on what has been an incredible experience of learning and fun creation for me here at Ray Day Gaming. And before we move on to number 5, I just want to say thank you. Thank you all for being a part of this. From the bottom of my heart, you guys have been the most incredible experience this journey in YouTube, helping you and seeing your reactions and creating videos that I love, and seeing that love being translated into your experiences as viewers has been so moving, so touching, and honestly something I'll never forget. And if you're a fan of these top 5s and you like this series and don't want it to be over, don't worry, it's over, but it's not over. I have some tricks up my sleeves, and hopefully you guys stay in touch by liking, sharing, and subscribing. That way you don't miss a beat. And now, ladies and gentlemen, the number 5 way to be a better hunter in Smite is get ready and get comfortable in carrying your team to victory. That's it. It's a mentality. As a hunter, you are going to be around. Your damage is going to be so consistent and so prevalent in the late game fights that you are oftentimes going to be the one who has the ability to close out kills. It's going to come up to whether you can land your shots or whether you can put yourself in the right position to close out the game and make sure your team wins. Now listen, this is a team game. There's no way it's only your responsibility. But what it'll often come down to is that last basic. Can you hit it? Can you have the mentality and know within yourself that you can hit it? Because you can't go out there with any hesitation. People telling me on YouTube, Rain Day, I don't know how to aim. I need to work on aiming. You need to trust yourself. You know how to point and click. You need to go in with the mentality that you can do it and be willing to when you pick up this role. As a hunter, you can't play small. You can't hide. You can't wait for somebody else to do the damage and get the kills. You have to be the one leading the charge. No, it doesn't mean get out of position and go in front of your guardian. Let him body block for you. But you need to be involved and you need to be willing to make the big plays. And it's the same thing in life. You can't play small, guys. You can't let somebody else do what you want to be doing because you think they're more qualified, you think they're better equipped, or you're afraid that you'll fail. Who cares if you fail? Who cares if you don't achieve what you want on your first try? Get used to going for your goals because then you know where you are. You get feedback from the world that says, hey, you're not quite there yet because you don't have A, B, and C. And then you can at least go on a journey to find A, B, and C. So that next time you step out there, you know, hey, I've got A and B now. I'm just looking for C and I'm gonna do a heck of a lot better. So what's the secret? It's confidence. It's confidence in yourself that you can do it, that you can do whatever you set your mind to. Being a better hunter, being a better mage, being a better Smite player, it's all about your confidence to improve yourself. Do you believe you can be a better player? Because these videos, they're just words. Let's be real, guys. I'm not the reason you're a good mage player. You are. I'm not the reason you got a pentakill or you had success today. You are. Always remember that. See, the thing is, your gifts and talents stretch far beyond the Smite battleground, and we all know that. So this series is about, yes, bringing out the best of you in Smite, but also bringing out the best of you in the world. And if I've taught you one thing and one thing only, that's to be willing to swing. Be willing to go for it, even if you fall. Be willing to try your best. Because failure is only failure if you give up. When you keep going, you never give up, you never stop gaming, it's just a stumble, and you'll be right back on your feet in no time. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and as always, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and I'll see you all next time.